Question 54. Explain the concept of laissez-faire. Introduction, historical, and conceptual background. The term laissez-faire is one of the cornerstones of classical liberal economic and political thought. It originates from the French phrase laissez-faire, laissez-passer, meaning let do, let pass, or more precisely, let people do as they wish. The idea emerged in 18th century France during the rise of industrial capitalism and was later popularized by classical economists like Adam Smith, David Ricardo, and John Stuart Mill. It stands as a reaction against state interference in economic activities and advocates for individual freedom and free competition as the natural basis of prosperity. Essentially, laissez-faire means that the state should not interfere unnecessarily in the economic affairs of individuals or the market. The economy functions best when left to its own natural laws of supply and demand. Meaning of laissez-faire in simple terms: laissez-faire refers to a policy of minimal governmental interference in the economic, social, and personal affairs of individuals. It upholds that individuals are rational, self-interested agents capable of pursuing their own welfare, and that the free market, governed by competition and the invisible hand of natural economic forces, will result in the maximum good for society. Thus, under laissez-faire, the government's role is limited to maintaining law and order, enforcing contracts, protecting property, and defending the nation, while economic decisions, production, pricing, and distribution are left to private initiative. Origin of the concept. The term was first used in France by the physiocrats, a group of 18th century economists led by Francois Quesnay and Vincent de Gournay. When French merchants were asked by government officials what the state could do to help industry, they replied, "Laissez-nous faire," meaning "let us alone." This phrase came to symbolize the principle of economic liberty, that the best government is the one that governs least in economic matters. Later, Adam Smith in his work, The Wealth of Nations, 1776, gave this idea a systematic foundation, arguing that individual self-interest in a competitive market leads to economic growth and social welfare through the invisible hand. Core principles of laissez-faire. 1. Economic freedom. Individuals should have the freedom to produce, buy, and sell goods and services without state control or regulation. Each person is the best judge of their own interest, and collective welfare emerges naturally from the pursuit of individual gain. 2. Free competition. Markets should be open to all, with no monopolies or artificial barriers imposed by the state. Competition encourages efficiency, innovation, and fair prices. 3. Minimal state intervention. The state should only perform essential functions: security, law enforcement, and justice. Economic decisions should be left to private initiative, not government planning or regulation. 4. Private property. The right to own and dispose of property freely is central to the laissez-faire system. It provides incentive for productivity and investment. 5. Self-regulating market. Invisible hand economic forces such as supply and demand automatically regulate prices and production. When left alone, the market reaches its natural equilibrium, balancing interests of producers and consumers. 6. Opposition to state-controlled economy. laissez-faire rejects socialism, mercantilism, and protectionism, believing that government control distorts natural economic laws and reduces efficiency. Philosophical basis of laissez-faire. The idea of laissez-faire is deeply rooted in liberal individualism and natural law philosophy. John Locke had earlier argued that individuals have natural rights to life, liberty, and property, and that government should exist primarily to protect these rights. Adam Smith later applied this logic to economics, asserting that human self-interest, guided by market competition, produces collective prosperity more effectively than state control. Thus, laissez-faire is both an economic doctrine and a moral philosophy that upholds freedom, responsibility, and limited government. Adam Smith's contribution in The Wealth of Nations. Adam Smith argued that when individuals act out of self-interest, they unintentionally promote social welfare through the invisible hand of the market. He wrote, "By pursuing his own interest, he frequently promotes that of the society more effectually than when he really intends to promote it. This means that economic freedom and private initiative naturally coordinate production and distribution without the need for state direction. Hence, the government should only act as a neutral umpire, not an active participant in economic life." Practical examples of laissez-faire policy. 1. Britain in the 19th century. During the Industrial Revolution, Britain adopted a largely laissez-faire approach, low tariffs, minimal regulation, and free trade, which helped it become the workshop of the world. 2. The United States in the 19th century. Early American capitalism under presidents like Thomas Jefferson and Andrew Jackson reflected laissez-faire principles, free enterprise, minimal taxes, and limited federal control. 3. Modern neoliberal policies. In the late 20th century, leaders like Ronald Reagan, US, and Margaret Thatcher, UK, revived laissez-faire ideas through privatization, deregulation, and market liberalization, reducing the state's role in economic management. Criticisms of laissez-faire. While laissez-faire contributed to rapid industrial and economic growth, it has been heavily criticized for its social and moral consequences. 1. Economic inequality. Unrestricted capitalism often leads to concentration of wealth in the hands of a few, widening the gap between rich and poor. 2. Exploitation of labor. Without regulation, workers may face poor wages, unsafe conditions, and long hours as witnessed during the Industrial Revolution. 3. Neglect of public welfare. Essential services like education, health, and housing may be neglected when left to private enterprise. 4. Economic instability. Unregulated markets can lead to cycles of booms and depressions, such as the Great Depression of the 1930s, which discredited pure laissez-faire economics. 5. Environmental damage. Profit-driven enterprise often disregards environmental costs, leading to pollution and resource depletion. Hence, modern economists advocate a mixed economy, where the state intervenes moderately to correct market failures while preserving economic freedom. Modern relevance. Although the pure laissez-faire system is rare today, its principles continue to influence neoliberal economic policies, globalization, and free trade agreements. Institutions like the World Bank and IMF promote policies based on market liberalization and deregulation, reflecting laissez-faire ideals in a modern form. However, most contemporary democracies, including India, balance market freedom with social welfare programs, combining laissez-faire efficiency with state responsibility. Summary for quick understanding: laissez-faire means, let people do as they wish, a doctrine advocating minimal state interference in the economy and maximum individual freedom. It was developed by French physiocrats and Adam Smith, emphasizing free competition, private property, and self-regulating markets. While it promotes efficiency and growth, it also risks inequality and exploitation if unchecked. Modern economies adopt a balanced approach, maintaining freedom but ensuring social justice through regulation. Quick revision notes. Meaning, non-interference by the state in economic matters. Origin: 18th century France, physiocrats, Adam Smith. Core idea: freedom of trade and enterprise. Philosophy: individualism and free competition. Symbol: invisible hand of the market. Advantages: efficiency, innovation and growth. Criticisms: inequality, exploitation, and instability. Modern form: neoliberalism and mixed economy. One-line questions and answers for revision. 1. What does laissez-faire mean? Let people do as they wish, minimal state interference. 2. Who first used the term? The French physiocrats. 3. Which economist popularized it? Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations, 1776. 4. What is the main principle of laissez-faire? Free market and individual freedom. 5. What is the state's role under this system? To maintain law, order, and justice only. 6. What does invisible hand refer to? Market forces naturally regulating economy. 7. Which countries historically practiced it? Britain and the US during the 19th century. 8. What is the main criticism of laissez-faire? It causes inequality and exploitation. 9. What system balances it today? The mixed economy. 10. What is its philosophical basis? Liberal individualism and economic freedom. Final connection. The concept of laissez-faire represents the liberal faith in human freedom and the efficiency of the market. It laid the foundation for modern capitalism by asserting that economic progress and social welfare emerge naturally when individuals are free to pursue their interests. Yet, history has shown that absolute freedom without moral or social control can breed injustice and inequality. Hence, the true spirit of laissez-faire today lies not in total state withdrawal but in creating an environment where freedom, fairness, and responsibility coexist, ensuring that the economy serves not only profit but also people and progress.